Hello everyone and welcome back to our town. So we are now in the 2010s. We are in the present day as it stands of recording this video. So the population at the beginning of this decade, which hasn't even finished yet, but we're going to do it anyway, the population was 62.76 billion million people, not billion people. And in 2019, which is this year, there should be about 67 billion. GDP wise, we're looking at in 2010, starting off with 2.441 trillion, and we're probably looking at about 2.622 trillion by the end, unless something catastrophe happens about Brexit, but we'll talk all about that fun subject later. Weather-wise, there was lots of cold winters and summers were getting even warmer. One of the coldest winters being 2010 in December when there was really bad snow. We also had the beast from the east in 2017, and in 2018 we had the worst heat wave that was warmer than the one in 1976, and we also had summers that were warmer than back in the Victorian times. So yay for climate change. Overall in this decade, we are starting off with the reminiscences of the financial crisis from the last decade, so things are still not looking too hot, and people are still trying to find their way in the economy. There is widespread mobile coverage of the internet and different resources as well. We also have things like WikiLeaks and obviously Brexit again. Politically wise, we had the ISIS or Daesh being a more prevalent in the war against terror. We had Russia in their involvement in trying to take over Ukraine, and their continued involvement in Syria, and obviously politically in the elections, especially in the US and probably in the EU referendum as well. At home, we had in 2017, we had the Westminster attack, we also had the Manchester bombing, and also the London Bridge attack, which is closer to home on the war on terror, as it likes to be called. We also had a rise in refugees coming from Africa and obviously Syria, and that becoming a widespread EU issue that needs to be sorted out still, even though no one seems to be talking about it anymore. We also had in 2010 the first coalition government between the Conservatives and the Lib Dems, as there was a hung parliament. We had the Scottish independence referendum in 2014, the EU referendum in 2016, and we had David Cameron resigning afterwards, and Theresa May being our Prime Minister at the current moment. We also had Grenfell Tower fire in June of 2017 and widespread forest fires, especially in Manchester and around the country due to the hot summers. We also had important papers come out, like the Panama Papers, where people were hiding their finances overseas, and we also had cyber attacks on companies like Twitter, Reddit, Netflix, Spotify. Everything was all fun and having to change your password. Health wise, we had two major health incidents. We had the Ebola virus from December 13 to June 16, and we had the Zika virus in April 15 to November 16. Science wise, in 2010 we had our first ever quantum machine and a quantum simulator as well, and looking forward to all those quantum computers that need to come out sometime soon. In 2011, we had HIV treatments that could help near enough eradicate all the symptoms of it. And we also had cellular I can't pronounce this word. Cellular looking into stuff. That is the best I'm going to do. In 2012, we had the discovery of the Higgs boson from the LHC, and we had the Curiosity Marver rover, which sadly has gone out of commission, sent its final words back to Earth. In 2013, we had our Gamma Ray Telescope. In 2014, we had the Rosetta Comet mission, where they landed a probe onto a comet that was orbiting by. We also had lots more advances in robots and that area. In 2015, we had a genome editing methods. In 2016, which was very exciting, we had the discovery of gravitational waves being first observed, and that was amazing. And in 2017, we had genome therapy, and we found the oldest ice core, which was from 2.7 million years ago. In 2018, we had a paper on the impacts of the Ice Age and neutrinos from far off galaxies as well. 2019, nothing yet. Technology wise, we had the first iPad in 2010. We had Android and iPhones dominating the market, as they still are. We also have the introduction of 4K resolution TVs and curved screens and touch screens and all sorts of lovely new tech. We also had smart glasses like the Google Glass, which clearly caught on hot fire. Everyone be wearing that Google Glass. We also had lots more app development like WhatsApp, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat, Tinder, everyone's faves. We had 3D printing, smartwatches, VR, e-cigarettes, more self-driving cars, which is not going too well, and drones as well. In society wise, there was increasing aging population in the UK and Japan as well, putting a pressure on different services, especially the NHS care services. We also had climate change being a very hot topic, also plastics being a very hot topic as well. In Ireland, we had was being the first nation to legalize same-sex marriages in 2015 after a vote. We also had more renewable energy resources being invested in, like wind turbines, solar panel, wave power, and a rise in knife crime and the Me Too movement as well. Major events of this decade, which we'll probably have some more. We had the wedding of Prince William and Kate in 2011. We had the Diamond Jubilee for the Queen in 2012, along with the the Olympic Games. It is English summertime, so you could probably class it as the Winter Games as well. We also had the Paris Agreement on climate change in 2015, and we had the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in 2018. We also have the youth of 2010s being described as the best behaved generation on record. It's probably not that accurate. And we also had teen smoking dropping by 15.7%, unprotected sex dropping from 34%, and fighting dropping from 25%. But obviously there has been a lot more increase in mental health problems and how that's being affected by social media and always being online and stuff. So there is always a balance in everything. Film wise, we've had a lot more animated films during this decade, things like the Lego Movie and Into the Spider-Verse, really pushing the boundaries on that. 3D films has been more popular than ever. We also had the return of Star Wars, which has been wonderful and controversial all at the same time. And we have the call for more diversity in our films and being more representative of the world that we live in. TV wise, we have had more and more people watching on-demand services like Netflix and Amazon, and even TV programs, whole TV stations moving directly on to online only as well. Gaming wise, we have gone into cloud gaming. We have VR, we had the PS4, the Wii, the Switch, we had the 360 and the One. However, The Sims, of course, and Blizzard games were still the most popular on the PC, which is good to know. Sims 4. Architecture-wise, we have a few various different styles of this decade. We have some postmodernism, we have more green design, we have loft living and industrial styles, we have rise in Scandinavian styles as well, and obviously we've got our contemporary styles and stuff like that as well. So a postmodernism is a form of breaking large buildings into several different structures and forms which have different functions in them and have different parts as well. They could also be made of very different materials as well, but they always tried to consider what they were using. They also had different coloured facades and could use a coloured glass as well. They used a sense of theatricity and a sense of the absurd and tried to make it stand out, but they always tried to have their buildings have a sense of context to them, so they are a bit like contemporary buildings, but not quite so glass and out there, but still respect the surroundings that they are in. It's a style that's a lot more in America than over here in Britain. Sustainable architecture, so again into our green builds. They try to minimize the negative impact that the building creates on the wider world using materials and energy resources, and developing the space, creating being efficient and modest in their creation as well. They try to reduce the energy needs of the building, and they could support this by using building in solar panels or wind turbines and stuff. They try to make it cost effective for heating and to not waste heat and water as well, like reusing water from different parts of the house for other parts of the house, and using reclaimed timber and recycled copper as well when in the building process, and obviously sourcing sustainable materials when they're building as well. Get some FSC wood going on, and trying to minimize waste and managing waste as well when they're building stuff. In lovely industrial style and design, is where people use buildings that used to be factories or buildings of industry and turning them into homes for people to live, especially if you can't build lots of new homes in the area you need to. And they are a good solution for recycling, basically. Taking old factories, keeping the core elements and features of them, and making up modern interiors, keeping all the metals, woods, brickwork, concrete and stuff, keeping all the lovely pipes, the old windows and stuff, but obviously modernizing them, painting your bricks white and stuff like that, and adding lots of lovely fun stuff in them. We also have the Scandinavian style, which is all about natural living, a bit of roots in the modernism style, especially it was big. Modernism was very big over in the the more eastern parts, especially up from Germany and stuff as well. It is simplicity, it is minimalism, it is functional, and it uses the everyday to make the things in it beautiful, with lots of white walls and natural materials. They also do add a few pops of primary colours in there as well, which we'll see in our lovely Scandinavian build. There are big windows that let in lots and lots of light and obviously connect you to the outside as well. Also, there is a housing crisis in Britain. Of course there is not enough homes, so homes are being built smaller and taller to fit in more and more space. So if you're looking at a new build in the UK, especially a suburban one, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 stories high, but very thin and very small, and you're probably not going to get much of a garden either, which kind of sucks. So on to our fun facts of this decade. In 2010, unemployment had fallen from the last 2 years, but obviously that was going to go up and down depending on the political status. We had our wonderful general election, where we had our home parliament and then our coalition. We also had 52,503 Roman coins found in Frome by a metal detector enthusiast, which was the biggest find in the UK so far. We also had volcanic ash from Iceland over our airspace, so no one could fly anywhere, which was pretty fun. And we also had the introduction of the Equality Act. In 2011, we had tax increased to 20% on all goods coming in or out. We also had the last circus elephant in the UK finally retired from his slave labour and could live a happy life. We had the final installment of the Harry Potter film franchise. We had the riots in London from the miskilling of a guy, and sparked lots of riots everywhere. We also had a mobile internet usage to 50% of the UK. In 2012, we had O2 creating the largest free Wi-Fi zone in the UK. We also had a meteor that was able to be seen over the UK. We also had the increase in price of a first class stamp from 46p to 63p. Ooh, exotic. We also had Andy Murray win Wimbledon for the first time, and it was the first British winner in 74 years. We also had the introduction of a 4G network. In 2013, we lost our AAA ranking in the world economy status just to AA. We also had our same-sex couples legalised. We also had the Help to Buy scheme for first-time buyers to actually get people onto the property market because of all the stupidly high housing prices. We also had, in 2014, we had the first performance, our best performance, not first, but the best performance in a Winter Olympics since 1924. We also had storms hitting the southwest of England. We also had the first Invictus Games for wounded soldiers. We also had the first gay weddings happening. We also had the Giro d'Italia start in Belfast, which is bizarre because it's supposed to be in Italy. And later on we have the Tour de France starting in Leeds, which is also pretty silly if it's supposed to be France. Glasgow School of Art had its first fire and it gratefully burnt down in 2017 because I don't like that architecture whatsoever. And we also had the phone hacking scandals as well. We had the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and we had Lewis Hamilton wins the Formula 1 World Championship again. In 2015, we had the first ordained woman bishop for the Church of England. We had a solar eclipse that covered 85% of the UK. We had the national bird of the UK being the robin, which was taken from a poll. We had Chris Froome win the Tour de France, and he wins it the year after as well. We also had a 5p charge for plastic bags to stop people using so many bags all the time. In 2016, we had Tim Peake, our first spacewalk from a official British astronaut. We also had you could genetically modify human embryos as long as they were destroyed after 7 days. We had our first online TV network being BBC Three, which is very sad because I love BBC Three. We had the British Museum being the most popular attraction in the UK, and our first ever polymer banknote being the £5 note. In 2017, we had a fixed day for the change of the guard, so it was every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday if you want to go see that. Fun times. And we had the Women's March in protest of Donald Trump's inauguration. We had things for Article 50 passed through the government and planning. We also had the new 20-sided £1 coin, so it was harder for people to fraud. We had a widespread cyber attack again. We also had the Lake District being classed as a World Heritage Site, and Big Ben fell silent for its 4 years restoration of the bell and the clock tower itself. And we also had the new plastic £10 note. In 2018, we had a ban on plastic microbeads in products like cleaning stuff. We also had places like Toys R Us and Maplin and other big names going into administration, and some of them closing down as well. We also had the death of Stephen Hawking, and we had the introduction of the national living wage. We also had a proposed ban on plastic straws and cotton buds to reduce our plastic waste. We also had the largest World Cup victory for England, which was 6-1, and one of the best performances that has happened in a long time in a World Cup. And in 2019, at the beginning of this year, it's only March, we had Greggs introduce its first vegan sausage roll, which has taken the country by storm, and also lots and lots of Brexit talk as votes happened by the day on whether we're gonna deal, we're in, we're out. Who knows? I'm sure we'll know someone, I hope. That has been all our facts for this decade. That hasn't even finished yet, so I will leave you with a tour of how our town has changed, and I will see you for how the town could look in a distant, far off future. So I will see you in the next one. Bye.